I'm Brad, and I've been a tour guide for nearly 10 years. It's been my pleasure to show the best that my country has to offer to the hundreds of guests I've hosted over the years. Now you get to be my guest as I take you on an eco tour of paradise.
Hey guys, welcome back for another exciting episode of Grand Bahama Eco Trip. We're here right now discussing coves, and we're out at Paradise Cove. That is one of the more popular coves on the island of Grand Bahama, and it's in an area known as Deadman's Reef. Deadman's Reef was really popular back in the days of piracy as a place where shipwrecks were staged. Okay, so people living on the coastline would build fake lighthouses and draw ships in intentionally, causing the ships to crash at the reef when they immediately had put the light out. And then they would be able to retrieve whatever items they can from the wreckage. Okay, this is a very common practice in the Bahamas in the 1600s, the mid to late 1600s, leading into the full-blown piracy that we experienced for the better part of about 150 years. Now, the city of Nassau, our capital, was actually built by pirates, so they've had quite the impact on the cultivation of now what we know as the Bahamas. And while piracy obviously isn't as accented as it was back in those days, our first royal governor was at one point a pirate himself. Now, he was given the charge of the King of England at the time to get rid of the other pirates in the region, and he did so in a very short amount of time, and he was ultimately made our first royal governor. His name was Woodes Rogers, and he would have been responsible for assisting in creating the first parliament that we've had in 1729. Now, these coves are very, very significant because they form a boundary to stop big waves from getting too close to our shoreline and eroding the shoreline. So the coves consist of rocks, which are basically coral heads that stick out of the water. They get weathered and become dark. And when you break into them, they're powder white on the inside. It's basically that same oolitic limestone that we're made out of. And you can also find pockets of aragonite in some of the rocks that you'll find on the beach, along with other very important treasures such as sea glass, and who knows, maybe even some Spanish doubloons. There is an estimated 800 million worth of unaccounted for treasure lost in Bahama seas that would have, I guess, went down on ships either due to piracy or shipwreck, or hurricanes. But nonetheless, you might get lucky after a hurricane and find a treasure. Now, protective coves like this usually house quite a bit of marine life. This is a turtle sanctuary, and the turtle grass, which is pretty much that dark stuff you see in the water before the rocks, otherwise known as the Thalassia tenundinum, that's the steady diet for the turtles. Now, they are omnivores. A lot of them do eat invertebrates, marine invertebrates like jellyfish and so forth, and sea biscuits, but the grass is a healthy part of their diet. You can also find stingrays out here, the southern stingray, and just beyond the rocks where it drops off into some deeper water, that's like a barrier reef right under those rocks that we see. You'll find tarpon, you can find schools of schoolmasters and other snappers. You have also spotted eagle rays that come around the winter time, and big families. So lots and lots of very interesting marine life we can see out here at Paradise Cove.
Okay guys, right behind me I have what are known as sea oats, the Uniola paniculata. And basically the sea oats can be found on the rocky coastal sandstrand and dune environments just after the beach in an area we call the frontier zone. Now, out here at Paradise Cove, very, very popular tourist attraction in an area called Deadman's Reef on the western side of Grand Bahama Island. We have lots of activity. This is a very particularly unique one, given the fact that we do have that protective cove that stops those big waves in the deeper water from coming in and deepening the shoreline. Okay, so it's a protective cove. Stays relatively preserved due to the fact that those rocks are a barrier from the waves out in the deeper water. It's just to the western side of the island. But anyway, our sea oats right here, the seeds can be used to make cereals, and they do prefer a very arid condition. They're not as sensitive as other types of vegetation, but the dune would have to be relatively wholesome for them to thrive, and otherwise they're very salt tolerant and very wind tolerant living on the shoreline. I'm glad I got to share this part of my home with you. If you've enjoyed the tour, be sure to click the like button and subscribe. Thanks for watching. Maybe I'll see you on our shore soon.